我想说的是广州的女马呢。
Where are the cattle and horses? I mean the workers in Guangzhou. Look, there aren't any. Oh my god, am I the only one struggling? That's not good. Look.
生意难不难做？
Is business difficult? Look, at Guangzhou Baiyun Airport. I've flown so many times and I've never seen so few people. Look, you can't even find a single person. There are only a few scattered staff members, more than the passengers. What's going on?
怎么回事啊？
Veteran media professional Li Dayu revealed a shocking piece of news. The actual population of mainland China is not 1.4 billion, as the CCP has always claimed, but only 500 million. Li Dayu, speaking on his channel Dayu's Surprising Cases, stated that an insider from the civil affairs system revealed that the cumulative death toll since the outbreak of the pandemic has exceeded 500 million, with an abnormal peak expected in 2025. Where approximately 14 million people will die from so-called organ transplantation, with those born in the 1980s being the primary targets. Zheng Zheming, a dissident in mainland China and former reporter of Guilin TV, previously received an internal whistleblower's report alleging long-term serious falsification of official Chinese population data. He recalled that in the 2010 Sixth National Census, China's population was 1.34 billion. However, by the 2027 census, the actual population was reportedly only 1.09 billion, a decrease of more than 200 million compared to the Hu-Wen era. Now, 5 years later, the insider indicates that China's actual population has further declined to just over 500 million. In recent years, numerous videos taken by netizens have shown that many once bustling commercial districts and shopping malls in Chinese cities are now deserted. The population in some rural areas has also decreased significantly. Overall, the area is even more desolate than during the 1980s, when China had a population of 1 billion. Regarding the death toll, Li Dayu, citing insiders, stated that during the 3 years of the pandemic from 2020 to 2023, the actual death toll in China reached 390 million, and in the 2 years after abandoning the goal of 0 new cases at the end of 2022, another 150 million deaths were added, bringing the total death toll since the outbreak to 540 million. The exposé also mentioned a shocking parts supply chain. Li Dayu pointed out that many cases classified as cardiac or brain death were not due to vaccine side effects, but rather related to the organ transplant industry promoted by the authorities. The mandatory measures during the pandemic facilitated organ matching and donor acquisition, making those born in the 1980s the most severely affected group. Data shows that during the 3 years of the pandemic, the mortality rate of those born in the 1990s was twice that of those born in the 1970s, and even higher than those born in the 1950s. Internal statistics from the funeral system show that in 2025 alone, more than 1,400 million bodies were registered as missing and missing organs. This means that the number of people who die solely due to organ transplants will exceed 14 million in 2025, a veritable mass killing. Regarding the whistleblower's motives, this source within the civil affairs system stated that his faith in the CCP had long since crumbled, seeing a government systematically harming its own people, especially the next generation, for massive profits made him feel he had reached the limit and had to expose it. I came to Shuhui district today and there was nobody on the streets. It was so desolate. At 1 p.m. there wasn't a single person, with rents of tens of thousands of RMB. I don't know how these businesses are surviving. Shanghai isn't like it used to be. It's lost its vibrancy. What happened to Shanghai? Where did everyone go? I was laid off. This afternoon, they let me leave after the handover was completed. I'm 29 years old, a designer at an internet company, and I just had a baby a year ago. I never imagined a midlife crisis would come so quickly. I negotiated with a company and they paid me 5 months' salary as compensation. Now I have mixed feelings. Everything has to start from scratch, and I feel very lost. Are there any friends like me? How did you all get through this phase? Today is Sunday. This is a commercial building above the subway station of Line 17 in Shanghai. Of course, it's related to the weather today. It's raining outside. This is Shanghai, and there's not a single person here. This is the second building above a subway station. I think the shopping mall is even worse. The problem is that a large number of tenants are leaving. We can see many places with only barricades and no shops left. The floors below the second floor are a little better. They are still operating normally. But when we go to the third floor, it's even worse. All the shops on the third floor are closed.
我老公被裁员了。
My husband was laid off and we both lost our jobs. I was completely lost when I heard the news. He went to work as usual in the morning, but after the meeting in the afternoon, he messaged me saying he had been laid off. The company's business is not good and they need to restructure. He worked as a developer at an internet company and had been there for almost 6 years. He's worked incredibly hard all these years, often working overtime and pulling all-nighters to meet project deadlines. Actually, the company has been undergoing restructuring and optimization for the past few years. He avoided wave after wave of layoffs, but unexpectedly, it is his turn this time. Why is the holiday atmosphere in Shanghai so bad? Look at the Lane Crawford Times Square. All the shops have withdrawn downstairs. They're all closed. All the shops are closed. There's not a soul on Huihai Road at 7 p.m. Is this like Shanghai? Of course, it's Shanghai. This is much worse than Europe, Japan, and Bangkok. Look here too, the shopping malls are all looking for tenants.
这边也是商场都在招租啊。
我来北京的第二个面试失败了。
My second job interview in Beijing failed because a woman over 30, unmarried and without children, the interviewer saw me as a very unstable factor. Actually, I also asked the HR person if the failure was related to my education or salary. She told me that the boss felt it was a matter of job stability. Even though I said I wasn't married, the boss was still worried. Actually, job interviews also depend on opportunity and fate. I don't have any other interviews yet. Tomorrow, I will continue to send out resumes, never giving up.
刚刚上海的有个朋友
A friend in Shanghai just filmed this scene. Many storefronts are rented out, but there's absolutely no one there. Is it not just the county towns that are deserted, but even the big cities are empty? There's no one in the shopping malls, no one on the streets, no one in the residential areas. Even the once bustling night markets are now deserted. Where have all the people gone? Are they all just lying at home counting their money?
我92年的，34岁了。
I was born in 1992, 34 years old, and I feel like I'll never find a job again. I just finished an interview for a salesperson position, and I felt like they implied I was too old and lacked sales experience. The thing is, I've already applied to all the positions in my major and haven't received any offers. Now it seems like a sales job is not available. Am I really going to have to deliver food?
难道我真的要去送外卖吗？
It's terrifying. Before, there were always queues along Guangxi North Road and Nanjing East Road. Now they're all empty. The rent is too high, the tenants are under too much pressure, and they're all vacant. Today marks the 70th day since my 43-year-old husband, a former CEO of a major tech company, lost his job. He's having a rough time finding work, and salary negotiations and interviews seem endless. What's wrong with you, Lao Jiang? This interview is probably a bust. He hasn't contacted me about salary for a week. It's okay, we have other opportunities. Last week we were celebrating a turn of fortune, receiving 2 interview invitations in one day. One for a project management position at a listed robotics company. It's a booming field, requiring a combination of hardware and software skills, as well as technical and management abilities. Lao Jiang's skills perfectly matched, and he thought it was a perfect opportunity to break out of his comfort zone and extend his career. The blogger says that her husband passed the first round of technical interviews the same day, and then HR arranged a second round for salary negotiations. Her husband originally planned to lower his salary expectations, just wanting to get a job as soon as possible. Unexpectedly, when the appointed time arrived, HR sent a message saying that a second round interviews needed to be rescheduled. 5 days passed, making their hopes increasingly slim. She lamented that this constant oscillation between hopes and despair is probably the norm for middle-aged unemployed people.
有没有发现一个问题？今年广州
Have you noticed that there seem to be far fewer people in Guangzhou this year? I wonder if it's the same in cities like Shenzhen, Shanghai, and Hangzhou. I just got back from out of town and suddenly realized that whether I was on the subway or driving, I could clearly feel that the number of people in Guangzhou after the Chinese New Year is much lower this year. It's the least I've seen in the past 10 years or so when I've been to Guangzhou. Did everyone just not come back after the Chinese New Year? Or did they come back but still haven't found work in their rented apartments?
3月份家庭总收入是
Our total family income in March was 167,298 yuan, a record high. But looking at this money, my husband and I couldn't smile at all. It included over 100,000 yuan of RMB in severance pay. Other people's paychecks are for treating themselves to a nice meal or new clothes, but for our family, it only brings bitterness and pressure, because this is the last paycheck in my 10-year career since I was laid off. Starting next month, my husband will be the only income source for our family, but we can't cut back on these expenses. The pressure of life is truly suffocating.
广东已经没人了。
Guangdong is deserted. You can hardly see anyone on the streets. The bustling scenes of the past are gone forever. Many factories can't be rented out. Many large factories have moved away, some to Southeast Asia, some directly back to their provincial capitals. The pressure in Guangdong is really too great. Business and physical stores is getting harder and harder. I can barely afford the rent. Anyway, I'm not coming back after the Chinese New Year.
北漂15年。
After 15 years of working in Beijing, I was laid off from a major internet company almost 3 months ago at the age of 39. I'm not married and my monthly mortgage and living expenses are $900. I used the money I received in the layoff to prepay some of my mortgage. I've sent out many resumes during this time, but I've received very few responses. Now, I have 3 paths in front of me, and I don't know which one to choose. First, I could switch from my gas car to an electric car to drive for Didi, but switching cars is also an expense. I don't know if the income will be enough to cover my monthly living expenses. Second, I could set up a street stall and open a small food shop, but I'm afraid that if the business fails, I won't even have a chance to turn things around. The blogger said that the third option is to deliver food, which offers relatively flexible hours. Her income is enough to cover her monthly expenses. Lately, she's been suffering from insomnia due to anxiety. She lamented, "Life has to go on, but what should I choose?"
有没有发现今年广州的人？
Have you noticed there are far fewer people in Guangzhou this year? I've lived in Guangzhou for over 10 years, and this year there are the fewest people here. Did you all stay home after the Chinese New Year and not come back? Are you just lying flat at home? Is that it? Are you all just lying flat, not coming to Guangzhou to work like slaves? There are so few people in Guangzhou.
从河北农村走到北京的第10年，
The 10th year after moving from a rural area in Hebei to Beijing, I never expected to be stood up for a scheduled interview. The interview was rescheduled twice. The company had originally planned the interview, but the manager had to go on a business trip, so it was rescheduled to today, Thursday. I currently live in Guang. Most internet companies are located in Haidian and Chaoyang districts, so it's convenient to get around. The commute is about an hour. The only downside is the high rent. It's over $700 a month. I have a 2-bedroom apartment and I plan to rent it to 2 colleagues or friends after I start working, which will ease the rent burden.
这人都到底去哪里了呢？
Where have all these people gone? Huadu has nearly 3 million people, and now the streets are deserted, the shopping malls are deserted, the office buildings are deserted, the restaurants are even deserted, the factories are deserted, and the villages are deserted as well. Before, when China had 1.3 billion people, everywhere was crowded. Now, with 1.4 billion, you can't see anyone anywhere. So where have all 3 million people gone? Does anyone know?
跌到被裁员。
Since receiving the layoff notice, my mood has gradually calmed down in recent days. It would be a lie to say I'm not anxious at all. My throat was sore for several days. I'm 32 years old this year, an age when you have elderly parents to support and young children to raise. After being laid off, our total monthly family income has been cut in half, and we'll have to rely on my husband's $1,400 monthly income to support the whole family. Our monthly rent in Beijing is $440, and the mortgage on the house in our hometown is $620. Our child will be starting kindergarten soon, which will require about $300 more per month, and my mother's $1,800 insurance premium hasn't been paid yet. The blogger said that fortunately her husband has a stable personality. After learning about her layoff, he didn't rush her. Instead, he consoled her, telling her not to worry too much, to calm down, and to take this opportunity to rest and recharge.
发现了吗？
Have you all noticed? Shanghai is noticeably less crowded this year. I went downstairs for lunch and the restaurants on the whole street were empty. The restaurant owner said that there are now half as many people eating lunch. The delivery drivers are almost crying. They used to get 100 or 80 orders a day, but now even half that is a luxury. But experts say that Shanghai has 100,000 more people this year than last year. Where have all the people gone? There are no lines for milk tea at the mall on weekends, and you don't need reservations at trendy restaurants anymore. Even the breakfast shops and the barbershops downstairs in my apartment complex have business for sale signs. 17 years in Beijing, 79 days of unemployment. When I first arrived in Beijing, my monthly salary was $100, and I lived in a basement. I was once forced to move out within 2 days by the landlord's son. I've ridden 6-cent buses, and I've squeezed into 30-cent subways. From half of Line 10 to a full subway network, 17 years have passed in a flash. Yesterday, someone commented that after 17 years, it's time to consider moving. This thought always popped up when changing jobs or moving, but the thought of leaving is both reluctant and sad. These 17 years in Beijing are my entire youth, and I'm still hesitating about whether I should leave. Shanghai has become a ghost town. In the mornings, you can hardly see anyone going to work. Even during the lunch rush, the shops are empty. Where have all the people gone? What's the point of working? Everyone who should have gone home and everyone who shouldn't have gone home has gone home. It's become a ghost town. At 30, I suffered some severe anxiety at a large company, barely surviving until I was laid off. I took my severance pay and came to Chengdu. I want to settle down in a second-tier city. My current apartment is in downtown Chengdu. The rent is only 1/3 of what it is in Beijing. There are parks everywhere downstairs, hot pot and skewer stalls galore, and lots of cheap and delicious street food. I like it here. After dark, I can go out after dinner, stroll in the park, and walk my dog in the sunset. I once considered staying in Beijing, but is it worth spending $300,000 on an old, small, and run-down condo? That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, or share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.